Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies, and today we continue with the Prom Night movie series. And we're doing Prom Night 3, which is called The Last Kiss, which I'm not really understanding why it's called that. But anyway, I thought this was it is a horror movie.
It is?
But I thought it was comical in a way.
Yeah.
That the other ones weren't. I thought that the last one we watched was a little more serious. The one before that was serious too, but a little different serious. It's kind of like they were exploring. And 2 was kind of like they come up with a lot of good ideas and put it together pretty well. And this was it was a continuation of the second one. There wasn't anything to do with the first one.
It's connected to the second one, but I don't really think it's good at being a continuation.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like a completely different thing.
It does.
The actress who plays Mary Lou is different, and her portrayal of the character is very different. So what I think about this movie is that I was expecting to like it, I guess. I mean, I knew that it was going to be connected to the last one, and I knew that it was going to be goofy and comedic, but I didn't know that it was going to be basically like a sex comedy with a little bit of horror here and there. Like, you could have taken all the horror elements out of this movie, and you could have had like a typical 80s, 90s teen sex comedy movie. It really didn't need to be a prom night movie. And I think that that's the biggest problem with it. That's the biggest letdown, is that... What are you doing?
Nothing.
The biggest letdown is that this is not a prom night movie. It does not feel like the prom is even very crucial to the movie. It feels like that could have just been any dance. And it feels like, it's not a good prom night movie. However, it is a lot of fun. It reminds me a lot of Ghoulies 3. It reminds me a lot of Sleepaway Camp 3, except Sleepaway Camp 3 was good. I didn't think this was bad. It's just that it is not really a good prom night movie, and it's not a good horror movie. I think that the horror elements in this movie are almost like secondary. They're very light. They almost feel like Goosebumps. Like, this could have been a Goosebumps for teenagers, basically. Like, this was not really like a horror movie like the last one or the one before. It felt almost like a teen movie. So, but there was a lot of good jokes, though, I guess. But Safi.
Well, it just doesn't seem like in the first one. That girl, the little girl. This is the little girl one who fell out the window, and the classmates were taunting her, and she fell out the window and fell to the ground. And then her brother was in the school, but they don't show him, and he ends up being the one who's been going after all these people. And that had like a serious tone to it, like it was revenge and kind of like psychotic, because it seemed like he had turned into her, like getting her revenge. And then the second one, they were both, the first and second were both focused on the prom, like Marco said. This one, the prom was like hardly mentioned at all. In fact,
They didn't even really start talking about it until 50 minutes into the movie.
And they didn't really focus much until like the very end.
And the actual prom was weak. The elements of the prom, like, it didn't really feel like a good prom sequence or anything. It was so... And the ending, the whole last part is like the worst part of the movie. Because at that point, by the time they get to prom, you've accepted that the movie's trash. You've accepted that the movie is basically like junk food. But even the last part is a huge letdown. It feels like... And also, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that just feels like they kind of copied the second one but did worser versions of it. Like, at the very end, they had another twist ending in the car with Mary Lou, and that was weak, and that was worse than the last one. And honestly, like, the main story, too, for this movie... Remember that in the second movie, there was that nerdy guy, in exchange for a sexual favor... He gave that girl prom queen, or he tried to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's basically like this entire movie is like an extension of that story. But instead of a nerd, it's a jock. And instead of the popular girl, it's Mary Lou. So that's what this movie is. So if you enjoyed that story, that sub-story in part 2, you're going to really enjoy this story in part 3. And Safi, what else do you have to say? You haven't. I'm not a fan of this movie very much. I thought it was okay.
I didn't like the ending at all.
But I hated.
I was mad about the ending.
Yeah,
the music was awful.
Yeah, the music was terrible.
And the way, I mean, there's no let up. There's no ending. It just continues on with the horror.
Well, the last part's kind of lame though. That whole thing where they're in the underworld and. It's basically like a, just, ugh.
Well, and another thing, they didn't, this is where I say it was comical, like all the way through.
All the way through.
You couldn't take, I mean, I'm trying to think, let's see, a guidance counselor, I think a biology teacher.
Yeah, let's talk about the biology teacher. He is horrible. He's like an abusive teacher. He hits the main character over the head for no reason, and for some reason he doesn't get in trouble, and he gets killed partially by Mary Lou stabs ice cream cones through his hands. And just, what the fuck?
Well, that's what the murders, it was like you couldn't take them seriously.
Yeah, you really couldn't take anything seriously.
It was like a
movie.
joke, and that's kind of weird to take a murder as a joke.
What do you mean, Safi?
Well, I mean, it just wasn't a joke, and so she kills the biology teacher because, see, what happens is he has to take a test. He was supposed to do well, but he got busy with her during the night and didn't study it, so when he took it, he flunked it. But she changed the score, and then she kills the biology teacher with the ice cream cones, of all things.
And that was hilarious. There were a lot of good jokes in this movie, and I wrote a couple of them down. Yeah.
And then the guidance counselor, and this is way at the beginning.
Yeah, so there's this funny part where the guidance counselor, she's a terrible counselor, and after she is killed, Mary Lou says she's not a person, she's a guidance counselor.
Which means there's some kind of joke about guidance counselor being ineffective, which, that's kind of, yeah.
And then later in the movie, the policemen, they were looking at the scene, and they were like, no, we don't have a teacher, we have a guidance counselor.
Yeah,
and I thought that was funny.
Bizarre.
So that was really good, but like, where did the guidance counselor touch the writer of this movie? You know, like, what the writer has some sort of a grudge against guidance counselors. But then another part I liked, later on in the movie, there's this whole Hallmark movie story where the main girl and the main guy are kind of having relationship problems, and so she's going to go to prom with this nerdy guy instead. And the nerdy guy takes her on this date, and he goes into this in-depth plan about what's going to go on the date. He's like, it's 6:30, we're going to meet up. It's 6:35, for 5 minutes, your parents are going to get to know me. And then 5 minutes later, we're going to have 10 minutes where they might be able to take pictures of the event. And that leaves us 7 minutes to do whatever we want. And that was hilarious. There were a lot of good jokes like that in this movie. Another one was the main guy, he was reading a book about what to do about Mary Lou, and it was called Ghosts, Demons. It wasn't even like demons and ghosts, it was just demons, ghosts. And he was saying, he was calling it a sexual haunting too. And it's like, see, this movie should have just been like a teen sex comedy. Right, Safi? Like American Pie or something?
That part, well, I never saw any of those, but that part, that didn't even go anywhere.
What?
He had about 20 books all opened, and he'd been looking at all of them, and I thought he was going to come up with something.
A plan.
Yeah, a plan that would use some kind of supernatural plus a reality thing to get rid of the ghosts. So I was waiting for that, and that never happened. I thought that was just a waste of time. I think
the whole movie was a waste of time.
I thought they just should have cut that out because he didn't do anything with it. Didn't do anything. It didn't explain anything to him.
Like,
or it didn't help him.
Yeah.
He didn't come up with any ideas on how to get rid of her at all. Nothing. It didn't do any good. It was like it was stupid.
I think what I really don't like about this movie is that the last movie did such a good job it being a horror movie where, you know, I'm not as big of a fan of movies that really take themselves as jokes the whole movie. Like, this was basically the MCU movie of prom night movies. I prefer it like in the second one where they're taking it so seriously that you know that they're kind of joking and you can kind of laugh along, but there's that horror element to where the second one does have effective horror stuff in it, and it is one of the best horror movies that we've ever seen. And it feels so sad that after that movie was so good, the third one, it feels like it has like less of a budget, like a lot less, and it also feels like they're not taking it seriously and they turned it into a joke, so that kind of undermines the second movie because these are connected with each other, and the second one's so much better. The second one's great. This one's just okay. Safi, what else would you like to talk about?
I was trying to think of, I had thought of something and then it flew out of my brain.
It flew out of your brain. Why would that be? I didn't interrupt you or anything.
No, I was thinking.
Oh, now I did.
Well, that's okay.
I did like the love interest. I thought that she was kind of nice. I liked she had this weird thing where she would get angry and she would bake. And so there was one part in the movie where
that's almost a cliche.
She baked like 1,000 cookies or something.
I've read that in a few of mystery books and also probably seen that in a Hallmark movie.
I thought that was kind of like
it was different.
Fun.
It was different.
Funny and
for
fun.
These kind of movies anyway.
I didn't like how the main character was a jock. I felt like
he wasn't much of a jock though.
Not
really,
but his character, he reminded me a lot of like Bobby from Twin Peaks. Like he looked a lot like him. And then Mary Lou, she looked a lot like Audrey from Twin Peaks.
Except she had very dark hair.
Yeah. So I thought that was weird. That's what I was thinking about the whole movie.
And
I
wish I could remember what I was going to say.
Oh, I liked his dad though. I really liked the main guy's dad. He was really really funny. Like there was one part where the main guy gets a good grade or something, the good grade on the test, and the dad makes everyone banana splits or something. It's just really goofy and really silly, and really like just it's out there. It's really out there.
That reminds me of those vacation movies. Kind of like how Chevy Chase was.
Really?
Yeah.
You think the dad was like Chevy Chase?
Yeah. Just goofy.
But Chevy Chase, his character was kind of a jackass in those movies.
He is a jackass.
And he's a jackass in real life too.
Yeah.
Probably.
Unfortunately. Yeah, he is.
But let's see I'm trying to think of what else because I mean it's not terrible. I mean I would watch it if someone else wanted me to watch it again
There was
But-
another thing too.
What?
It wasn't the one I was thinking of, but she kills his best friend, and
Oh, yeah.
I didn't like that.
Why?
Because his best friend, what happens is, this thing has been going on with this ghost.
Oh.
He's had to bury his guidance counselor and the biology teacher in the football field.
Yeah.
And so he hasn't told anybody, and that she killed these people for him. And so he tells his friend, and then, I don't know, he went out of the room for a moment. Well, the girl came back and killed his friend, and then he finds out, and he says, "Why'd you do that?" He was my friend. He said, if I can't have you, nobody else can either, not your friends
Safi,
or your family.
Why are you treating it like that's something that's never happened in a movie or show before?
I mean, it has. That's the thing. And
I
so
know.
that was like, it was like an abusive person. And this
She was
doesn't fit in with the comic
It doesn't fit in.
high school whatever story.
The character and everything did not fit in with the last movie.
Yeah.
Mary Lou at the end of the last movie got killed, and she doesn't really care about. I mean, she's destroyed.
Yeah.
And the way that they bring her back was dumb. I would have been so much more accepting of this movie if they had made it some other character. Like, if they created a new character called Audrey, not Twin Peaks Girl. Like, called her that. I would have been so much more tolerant of that. And like, oh, okay, it's this new character, it's a new story, but it's kind of like the last movie. I would have been more tolerable to that, because I would have been like, okay, at least they're not pretending like this is Mary Lou and pretending like this is actually connected to the last movie, because
that would have been better.
They don't fit together at all. At all. Like, the last movie was not a cartoon comedy. This movie is. And, yeah. I know
agree.
the fourth
I think
one.
that's a good idea.
I know the fourth one's going to be worse, though. And I know the remake's going to be worse. So, as much as... And I'm not trying to sound negative with this review, because I enjoyed the movie to a certain degree up until the last 20 minutes. I did not like the last 20 minutes, but I thought the rest of the movie was okay. I will watch it again sometime in the future.
I didn't like the ending though. The
ending
guy,
was terrible.
He hasn't done anything wrong. He did, by burying all those, it's called abuse of a corpse. So that
He kind of did though, because
he didn't kill anybody.
He cheated on his girlfriend with the Mary Lou.
Yeah,
and that's something too. Is that, like, he's having this affair with her, and he doesn't want anyone to know, and he's really like, it's not like she's hypnotizing him. He's totally into it. I mean, she has like some kind of super sexual power that he's really into, but it's like he's still cheating on his girlfriend, and that's never made an issue in the whole movie.
Yeah, not at all.
Even the dad figures out he's cheating on her, and instead of saying, like, that's bad, son, cheating is bad, and blah 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 blah, instead of that, he just says, like, I know the type of person you're with her because she's a lot of fun, and well, she's gonna hurt you and crush you and all this crap, and like, wow. I guess it's because the movie's a cartoon and it's not really taking itself seriously, but still, I just, how are you supposed to root for a character like that, too? Like, why would I be rooting for his character?
Yeah, and so, the girl who likes him a lot from the present day, Mark already mentioned this, what happens is, he didn't want Mary Lou to kill her. So he says, just take me instead. So they go into I'm just call it the hellhole.
The hellhole.
Kind of like in Buffy.
No, that's
No.
not what it's called. What's it called, Safi? Come on.
I don't know.
Oh, shit.
Shh. Don't do that.
It's called a hellmouth.
Oh, Hellmouth, that's right. But
Damn
anyway,
you.
So they go in there.
You're not
They
a
jump
real
in there,
Buffy
but
fan like me.
Marco, cut it out.
I'm a real Buffy
Okay,
fan.
good for you. Okay, so anyway, but the girlfriend from today jumps into the hellhole too after them. And so then they see all the people who she killed are down there.
Yeah.
And then all these other people, I guess, who've been killed as a result of the fire. It's almost kind of like The Walking Dead.
No, you know what that part was like?
What?
It was like Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. So they go after them, and so they managed to escape her, and didn't they got rid of her. They thought they got rid of her and destroyed her. And so they go into the car, and the car is like it's Back to the Future, and they go through the time warp or whatever it is, the black hole, and they're in the future. And then they go to this drive-in, which looked like an old type of drive-in, like from the 50s when Mary Lou was around.
I kind of zoned out at this point, so I'm glad that Safi's recapping.
Well, it's just, and so then Mary Lou, that was so odd. She pierces her way through the seat, through the girl's body, and kills her.
Oh,
The modern girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then, so he's never going to get rid of her.
Yeah.
She's going to be there forever. Right? And then they play this shitty...
Oh, the music in the credits was awful.
The music was... it was hip-hop or something. It did not. This was 1990.
It totally didn't fit with the movie.
It did not go with the movie. I am sorry. It didn't. It just totally out of place.
That was so weird.
And I didn't like the ending, and I just...
But here's the real question.
Sorry.
Which song was worse? The prom night song from the first one or this hip-hop song? Because I think this song was worse. Because at least the prom night song had prom night in it, and it sounded like a song.
It didn't sound like anything, except it said, prom night, you know.
Prom night!
Okay, don't do it.
Prom night!
Okay, don't do that.
Safi's closing her eyes in pain.
So anyway,
prom night!
It really put me off. I mean, you could kind of, even though they didn't take anything seriously, all the way through, and everything that Marco said about a teen sex comedy or something.
Yeah, because like most of this movie, it was just like, it reminded me a lot of that. Remember that Dr. Alien movie with that's what this movie reminded me of. Just it was like a comedy, sex comedy, teenage sex comedy.
Well, it's kind of like a full moon movie, right?
Full moon movies aren't known for being sex comedies, Safi.
No, I guess not. So
they
anyway, they did have that though.
Yeah.
That one movie you're speaking of. But anyway, I really, that kind of, although you can just like, go through the movie like that.
No, it was funny. The movie was funny.
And then you go to the end, and then you have that, and it just, to me, it just kind of like put a bad taste in my mouth to have it end like that.
Well, I think the whole movie put a bad taste in my mouth.
I just wish they could have gotten in the car, which was like one of those 50s, I don't know what they're called, but they're like a dual color.
A Jeep.
No. No, don't do that. Don't do that. You don't know what they are. Anyway.
I know. A Jaguar.
Marco, be quiet. And then they get in the car, and then they go back into the future, and that's the end of the movie. Or something.
Marty, you gotta come back with me.
Marco, don't do that.
Prom Night 3 sucks. We gotta go back. We gotta go back and make a better movie.
Okay.
Da, 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 da.
You're making so much noise, God.
To be continued.
Well, anyway, they could have done a lot better job. And then, really, this is 1990, so they really probably made the movie in 1989. So it was still like technically the 80s.
It doesn't even feel like a 90s movie. That's the other hilarious
not at all.
thing.
It's an 80s movie.
It's like an 80s movie.
It's totally the clothing, the hair, everything is 80s. and everything. But anyway, if they would have just ended a little differently and not, I don't know why they decided to make that hip hop music.
Ugh.
It did not go with the movie at all. It did not fit with the movie
It was like
at all. Why would they do that and then end it with a negative ending like that?
Well, you know what it was
Like the girl, Mary Lou's just going to be there forever, and she's going to, and we don't even know if the situation, how the cops decided that he was the bad guy, that he did the killing, which he didn't.
That won't
we don't even know
resolve.
how that was resolved.
That ending credits music. That ending credits was like you're sitting there, and then all of a sudden someone comes up to you and puts a pie in your face or something. It was just like the biggest WTF moment, like in horror history, and it was.
I just can't figure out why they did that. I mean, what was the point? So anyway, I got to come up with a food review, and I'm just sitting here while he talks, and I'm talking.
Well, I have one, so I can...
Okay, you go ahead, and I'll try to figure out something.
Well, I have two. I'm going to do it. Eeny, meeny, miny, moe. Okay. So last week, I had Taco Bell, and they have really... For some reason, I don't know if they just went downhill recently, have gone downhill recently, or it's just because it's getting to be the winter time.
And we've had a thing about the winter here.
Yeah,
Taco Bell.
I've had a thing about the winter where, for some reason, Taco Bell employees get really bad at making things in the winter. Yeah. They get really bad.
It's not even technically winter either.
They get really bad. Okay, Safi, think about your review. They get really bad. Safi, think about your review.
Okay.
They get really bad at making bean burritos, for instance. And so what I got a Dorito Loco Taco, which was actually really good. It was a perfect taco. It was utterly perfect. It was as good as it could have been, or better. And then I had a bean burrito. Now, the bean burrito was bizarre. It was like... The tortilla was stale to the point of where it was crunchy.
Ugh.
There was this whole crunchy part that I peeled off of it, and I only ate like 3/4 of it, but it was weird tasting. It was cold, and it felt like it was sitting out on the counter for a week, and it was just terrible. It was like, why can't they make bean burritos in the winter? It's just so weird. It's like... It's beans and a tortilla put under fire. And then the biggest disappointment, because chicken quesadilla is my favorite thing to get at Taco Bell. In fact, I'd love to do like a Taco Bell ranking, because like I've eaten a lot of Taco Bell in the past. But the chicken quesadilla, it's so easy. It's like you have chicken, cheese, and sauce in a tortilla. How fucking hard is that? Well, for the employees at Taco Bell in the wintertime, it's really, really hard. Because it was not cooked all the way. It was unevenly cooked. It was cold. There was cheese that wasn't melted because it wasn't cooked. And the sauce, there was hardly any sauce in the entire quesadilla. It was like a dry quesadilla. And it was terrible. But I still ate the whole thing. That's what this movie was like. It was just like a big mixed bag of a meal that you just kind of eat anyway, and you're kind of like, that wasn't very good, but like it was okay. Like, cause it made me regret going to Taco Bell at least that one time. Cause like Taco Bell's gotten so expensive too. Taco Bell is now like the most expensive fast food place to go to. Like it costs like $20 to get like a taco, a burrito, and a quesadilla. It's fucking retarded. Right, Safi?
No, it's too bad. It's a shame.
Really?
Well, they can have pretty good food, but we've had this thing many times before where when it starts getting cold out,
they get bad.
They don't do well. I don't know what it is.
It's like they're depressed or something. They have seasonal... What's that called? Seasonal... Affective disorder. That's what they have. Yeah. They have sad. Safi, what's your food review?
Okay, well, my food review is... someone else in the house bought a bag of Dum Dum suckers.
What a lazy review.
And they have the regular suckers in there, like, cherry, etc. But for some reason, there's a ton of mystery flavors. So Marco's been trying the different flavors, and they're marked, I guess, by a color. So like a blue kind of colored paper but it does have the words mystery flavor or something.
It's not blue colored paper.
No,
you can just see that it's blue on the inside.
Oh,
the
okay,
lollipop.
you can see through the paper
and
what color the pop is.
I only tried one mystery flavor so far.
I thought you've tried a whole bunch. You were going to rank them.
No, I've tried the regular flavors.
Oh.
The mystery flavors, I've just decided, like, I'm not going to rank them because they're so random, and there's not like one mystery flavor. It's like a million of them. So it's kind of pointless to rank them, in my opinion.
Well, I was mistaken about what he's doing. So anyway,
yeah.
There's a bag full of these pops.
That's usually the case.
And there's several mystery flavors in there, as he said. And you can tell what they orient to because you can see through the paper what color they are. So, right, there might be a blue one, there might be a yellow one, an orange-red one. So this movie was kind of like that. It's just like, it was like a whole bag full of mystery flavors because it's, because the elements, they don't really go with the second one. They don't go with the first one. And then they have this ending with a hip-hop song.
Yeah.
And that's what it reminded me of. Something that just, suckers are fun. So, it's a quote comedy. So that's what to me, it's like a bag full of mystery flavored suckers. With some regular ones that you would be, a cherry or a grape or an orange, are mixed in there. So that would be the regular elements of a horror story. But I mean, just the people who were killed, they had the head jock. He resented this boy because he thought he was better. Well, of course, Mary Lou killed him too. And then you have the best friend, and then you have the guidance counselor and the biology teacher, and they're all running around down in the hellmouth and acting like they're going after him. And they're going to go, and his best friend is tries to go after his girlfriend from the future, or from the reality, from life. So it's just bizarre. Marty,
you gotta come back with me.
It's just bizarre.
We gotta fix the prom night series.
So anyway, so anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become one of our subscribers. And if you have any suggestions about what to watch, although we have plenty to watch.
You know what he should have...
We have no shortage of things to watch.
You know what he should have said when his best friend tried to get at his girl?
What?
Hey, you! Get your damn hands off her!
Oh, God.
Like Back to the Future!
Alright, Marco. So anyway, that's it, and...
What'd you just call me? Chicken!
Marco, stop now.
Why?
So anyway, that's it. And goodbye, everybody.